Hello and welcome to the House of Knowledge. My name is Katekaev Г.М, and this is our webinar on the topic of Antarctic. Antarctic is a continent that is full of unusual and extraordinary animals. Some of them were mentioned in the video lessons. By the way, do you remember the vocabulary of video lesson? Let's remember it. Greenhouse gases, burning fossil fuels, rising world temperatures, melting ice, wilderness, range, scenery, impact, quality, draw, adventurous tourism, CO2 emissions, global warming. So, to the questions, what are the most interesting facts about Antarctica? Well, let's begin. In the roots of the Greek language, Arctic means the land of bears, and the Antarctic means the land without bears. The term Antarctica literally means the opposite of Arctic. Hence, it can be called the land without bears. However, the word bears doesn't mean the beautiful beasts of animal kingdom, but the constellations, the great bear and the little bear. These constellations, which are part of the ancient Greek mythology, are visible only in the northern hemisphere. Hence, Antarctica is named uh, as the land without bears. Interestingly, even the great polar bears doesn't exist in Antarctica. They too are found only in the Arctic region. Antarctica is a place where all the longitude lines meet, and hence the South Pole has no specific time zone of its own. As all the longitude lines converge at the South Pole, Antarctica holds all of these lines. Hence, any time zones can be used on the continent. Though choosing time zone sounds exciting, it can be quite confusing. Since no one lives in Antarctica permanently, this is not a major problem. For practicality's sake, time zones on the Antarctic continent are based on the territorial claims. However, the scientists and other researchers who spend time in this part of the southern hemisphere can choose the time zone which suits them best. Almost the whole of the Antarctic continent is covered in an ice sheet with a thickness between 1 mile to 2.96 miles. Those visions of ice sheets while thinking about Antarctica are actual realities, and the fact that almost the entire Antarctic continent is covered by ice is testimony to it. But an ice sheet as thick as a mile, or in some cases almost 3 miles, is simply unbelievable. Thick, this thick coat of ice is what makes the Antarctic region the most difficult place for life to exist. Over 90% of the world's ice, which is around 29 million cubic kilometers, is frozen in Antarctica. And if all the ice in Antarctica melts, the level of all the oceans will rise by almost 60 meters. The largest animal of Antarctica, an insect called Belgica antarctica, is one of the smallest animals in the world, just about 2 millimeters long. Contrary to the popular belief about penguins, seals, and some mysterious land creatures inhabiting Antarctica, the largest terrestrial animal native to Antarctica is an insect which is only 2 millimeters in length. This is primarily because the harsh environment of the Antarctic region is impossible to survive in for almost any terrestrial being. Though penguins and seals are spotted at times on the shores, they don't really live there, they just visit. Even the seabirds we see in the documentaries on television or the internet are mere visitors and not purely native to Antarctica. The reason why the Belgica antarctica survives the harsh climate is that it burrows itself 1 centimeter under the ice sheet and can survive in it for well over 10 months. And it can survive even 70% of its body is lost. There is a volcano in Antarctica named Mount Erebus, which is the most active one in the South Pole and is covered in crystals that get ejected out of the mountain in the form of glassy volcanic bombs. It is the most active volcano in the southern hemisphere and is the current eruptive zone of the Erebus hotspot. Though covered with glacier throughout the years, it is still pretty hot and holds a lava lake, and it occasionally erupts, spitting the crystals grown in the magma for years. Well, if you can collect these crystals and make jewelry out of it, you might earn a lot of money, but be careful as Mount Erebus is the most explosive volcano in Antarctica. Antarctica houses one of the saltiest bodies of water on this planet by the name of the Don Juan Pond, and this pond maintains its liquid state even in the coldest days of the South Pole. Although almost everything liquid freezes in Antarctica, the Don Juan Pond manages to maintain its fluidity. Even in winters, when the climate in the South Pole drops to a staggering 50 degrees below zero, the salty lake continues to remain in the liquid state. The lake survives the harsh weather because of its salinity. The Don Juan Pond is the saltiest lake in Antarctica with a salinity level of over 47%. This lake has the highest amount of dissolved solid substances in the world. Just to compare, the salinity level of this lake is 18 times more than the oceans and 1.3 times more than the Dead Sea. There is a waterfall in Antarctica known as the Blood Falls that has a high amount of iron and is devoid of oxygen. Its water turns blood red when it gets exposed to air while falling down. Though the Antarctic is considered to be the largest desert in the world, it unusually houses waterfalls too. One of the waterfalls found in the McMurdo Dry Valley region is Blood Falls, which looks like blood flowing from the glaciers. Research conducted by the University of Alaska Fairbanks has shown that the reason for the waterfalls turning blood red is the reacting of the large amount of iron and sodium present in the water with oxygen when exposed to air. Hence, the red color is due to the oxidized iron. The same way how iron turns crimson red when it rusts. Until recently, it was believed that the algae have caused the discoloring of water. If you wish to stay in Antarctica to experience the winter, you will have to comply with one of the strangest rules, getting your wisdom teeth and appendix removed. In summers, around 1,000 and 1,500 people stay in the Antarctic region. Most of them uh, are researchers and others are support staff and expeditioners. Though the summers here are by no means pleasant, winters present a far worse scenario. The majority of the visiting population leaves the place except for a few support personnel and long-term observational research. However, if you choose to stay there in winter, you will have to get your wisdom teeth and your appendix removed. The reason behind this bizarre sounding requirement is that in a medical emergency you cannot be evacuated during winters. Even if you are going to work as a doctor in Antarctica, you will have to get your appendix removed prior to your journey. The only ATM center in Antarctica is operated by Wells Fargo Bank. It has two ATM machines and it takes 10 months to complete a single money replenishment service. Though Antarctica is a place where shopping is your last priority, there are situations where money matters a lot in the tundra. And scarcely there is only one ATM center with two ATM machines. Both of these are run by Wells Fargo Bank, and it is one of the toughest destinations for ATM administrators. These two ATMs are installed at McMurdo Station, which happens to be the largest science hub on God's green, white Earth. To survive the Antarctic weather, you need food and beverages, postal services, or even some chocolates, and all these requires money. So if you have the thought in your mind that you won't need any money while in Antarctica, kindly update it. There is a Chilean village in Antarctica which houses a school with 15 students and 3 computers, a post office, and 1 banker, and it is called Villa La Estrella. Villa La Estrella is one of the only two residential settlements in the entire continent of Antarctica. It is a Chilean settlement, also functions as a tourist destination. The town has a school, a post office, a banker, and a population of around 100 people. This count of people goes down in the winters. Villa La Estrella, which means Town of the Stars in Spanish, offers ski expeditions and sightseeing of the majestic South Pole. It is a typical Chilean village and offers a great experience to visitors. There is also a small guest house that can accommodate 20 guests at a time. The town also has facilities like TV reception, a radio station, and internet access, though internet usage is strictly limited to the 3 computers in the school. And the Antarctic Treaty of 1961, a part of the Antarctic Treaty System signed by several countries, recognizes no sovereign claims of Antarctica and prohibits any military activity but allows scientific research. The Antarctica Treaty was first signed on the 1st of December 1959 by 12 countries, and it came into force in 1961. Since there is no native human population on the southern continent, this treaty was signed in order to avoid any clashes between nations over sovereignty. This treaty prohibits any military activity in the region except as aid to peaceful scientific research. Though Argentina has claimed sovereignty over a vast part of Antarctica, the claim is not recognized internationally. Initially, 12 countries had signed the treaty, and currently 53 have become a party to the treaty by signing it. The treaty had made possible the large scale of scientific research on the land without any political or military disturbance. Countries like the USA, UK, Australia, Argentina, Russia, and many others have set up their respective scientific research stations in different parts of the continent. The headquarters of the Antarctica Treaty System is established in Buenos Aires, Argentina. My friends, you know a lot about Antarctic, but if you want more, you can find out a lot more in the internet. Thank you very much for your attention and thank you for choosing the House of Knowledge. Goodbye.